We're going to start now. So let's say we put en command to see enable, then show run. You can see many commands here, many ports. 24, then extra 2 gigabytes and this. But there is no configuration. It's all are empty ports. Example, I'm going to change the host name. Whenever we turn on any switch, the default name would be switch. So to do any configuration, you need to go to config T, which is configuration. To change the device name, the command is called host name. If you do not know the complete command, or instead of typing the whole command, you just need to put the tab key, you'll get the complete command. And you should have the legend of the name of any devices. Either you need to create by yourself, or the end customer gonna give you the legend concept. Example, I'm gonna mention that the name of the company, CML, then MDF, where the switch is physically located, if it's a core switch. Then example, I'm gonna mention that, or let's say we'll put the IDF 01, because this is 2960 switch, which is a layer 2, purely layer 2. Then ACS or ASW1, which means it says that within this company CML, it belongs to IDF 01. So which means we need to think that there is a multiple IDF with a number 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. So this is the first IDF and the first switch. First is ASW means access switch 1, or some people mention that ACSW1 or AS1 or SW1. It's kind of. So now I change the host name. Okay, before it was switch, now it goes to this. Now I need to see this configuration. Either you need to go back to with the exit command to back to the privilege mode, or you can put the show commands from here. So let's say show run. It will not work, because generally the show commands will be applicable in the privilege mode. So instead, you need to put do. Then any privilege command can be available or can be implemented in any higher mode. Like for example, do show run. You can see now. See the name of the switch. Before, if you go up, before the name of the switch was switch, then we moved into the global configuration mode, which is config T. Then we change the host name. Then again we put the show run command with help of do from the global configuration mode itself. Then we came to know the host name has been changed. But this name we didn't change, we didn't save. Now this changes will be replicated in the RAM. So if the switch is restarted, and when it's coming back after the restart, the name will be wiped out and it came back with all the name, because we have not saved. Once you save the configuration, then you can see the saved configuration from the NVRAM. NVRAM means known volatile RAM. Like in the system, we have a D drive, E drive, or some other external, like a USB stick, some space for us to save the data. But here on the switch, the data which we're going to save will be placed into NVRAM, known volatile RAM. To see the NVRAM content, we have a command called show start. Startup configure is the full command, but we're going to put the start. And because of we are in privilege and in global config mode, we just mentioned do. And you can see that startup config is not present because we have not saved yet. There are few commands to save it. And the save command is also from the privilege mode. Or instead you can put, or let's say I'm going to go back to exit, write memory. This is one of the commands to save the configuration. Write memory. Or the shortcut command is WRM, mem. Or the shortcut command is WR. Or the other command is called copy from run, which is from the RAM to save, means towards to the NVRAM. So you have a three way. Either you can put the complete command write to memory, or WRME, or WR, or copy run start. During the exam, only copy running startup config gonna work. All the remaining will not work. But in the reality, we always go with the as shortest as possible, like WR. Now you can put show start command to see the changes. So now you can see that the changes that even in the show start, the host name has been changed. For show run, the host name has been changed. Okay, now in order to test, I'm going to go back to the global configuration mode. Then let me change the host name. For example, MDF CSW1. The CSW1 means code switch 1. Enter. Now I change the name from IDF01 ASW1 to MDF CSW1. Let's say do show run. Now you can see your host name has been changed, but we've not saved yet. So let's see, do show start. Now you can see the changes. When I give show run, you can see the host name has been changed. But when I give show start, still the host name is the previous one because we have not saved. There's the difference between the running and status. Now I'm going to save the command. Do write. Do show start. Now the host name has been changed in the running as well as in the startup. So keep in mind, whenever you do some changes, make sure that you've been saved the configuration. Also, you need to take the backup of the final configuration. If something goes wrong, you can recover by using the previous configuration. And there are many show commands. Okay, so one of the hottest topic is called VLAN. To see the VLAN, show VLAN, or do show VLAN. Okay, now you can see that all the ports of the switch starting from 1 until 24 and the remaining 2 giga Ethernet all are belongs to VLAN 1. So the VLAN is a virtual LAN which will make one network. So when you purchase any switch without do any configuration, if you place any edge devices into any ports of that specific switch, it starts communicating. Then they have the same subnet IP, same network IP. They're going to start communicating because they all are in one network, which is the default VLAN. So one VLAN is equivalent to one network, one logical network, or one subnet. They're going to communicate to each other. So the benefit of the VLAN that, let's say you need a multiple network in your organization and each network will have less than 5 devices. Like for example, you have access point, which is 5, you have BMS 5, you have ACS 5, so total 15. And you have a PC 5, and you have an IP phone 5. So total 5 into 5 services, 25. If you do not have a choice to make the VLAN in the switch probably you need to purchase 5 switch to make the segregated network of 5. So in one switch, 5 devices dedicated to one network. The other switch have 5 devices dedicated to another network. The way you need to have a 5 switch for them to make a 5 individual network. Instead, and also, if you purchase 8-port switch, the remaining 3 is unused. If you purchase 24-port switch, you're just going to use 5. So the remaining 19 ports going to be unused. Instead, you're going to purchase one switch, which is 24 or 48 ports, depends upon required. Let's say you have a 5 different network and each network requires 5 ports or 5 devices. So you have one 24-port switch. You connected 20 devices starting from port number 1 to until 20, and the port number 1 to 5 for one service, and port number 6 to 10 for another service. So you need to make them a separation. So to do that, you can move the first 5 ports into one VLAN and the remaining 6 to 10 ports to another VLAN. The one VLAN will be considered as a one network, completely one isolated network. And any traffic within that VLAN will not move to another VLAN. So they have a privacy, they have a separate room. So this is the idea behind any concept of any VLAN. So generally, you know, the current design, wherever we go, we can see that the customer needs BMS, ACS, telephone, systems, access points, or many unknown other services. All are individual, all are segregated. So the best option that if they need a multiple network, multiple services, then we have to create a VLAN. And the VLAN are up to 4094. We can create any VLAN, any number. It is not mandatory that you have to create that many VLAN. No. You can create any VLAN. You have a choice until 4094. In some cases, some customers have their own policies, their own agenda, or their own design that they have to use this VLAN numbers. Like for example, VLAN 4000, 4001, or 3000, 3001, 2, 3. They have some defined policies. Or we can provide a solution by ourselves by creating a VLAN. So when we do design a VLAN, we have to follow some certain path, some certain policies, or some certain design, the best practice or recommended solution, which we'll learn more about in the next session. So when you purchase a network or switch, and if you connect any device into that switch, and they all are considered as a one network, then you don't need to create any VLAN, because all ports are belongs to one VLAN, which is VLAN 1. You cannot change that VLAN, which means you cannot edit, delete, or rename that VLAN 1. If you have a plan for create a new VLAN, you always need to start from VLAN 2 to any VLAN until the last number, 4094. Then we will discuss more about the new VLAN, how the VLAN should be created, etc. And therefore, whenever we do some design, we will never bother about the switch configuration, because our edge devices all are in one network. So it's just a plug and play. We'll mount the switch, we'll place all the devices into that switch. We'll make sure that all of the systems, devices are in the same network. They start communicate. Okay. But when you have a dual network, then always, of course, we need to consider about certain design parameters to define the VLAN. Okay. So I recommended you to turn on any model of the switch. Then you need to know about a few commands, like when you turn on the switch, it will be like this: enable, disable to go back, enable. Then you need to put the question mark to see all the commands. And let's say you can go with the show command and to see many show commands. Try all the possible commands by yourself. Then go to config. At least try by changing the host name. Like test. PSC, the host name has been changed. Or CML info, the host name has been changed. Or put the question mark here to see all the possible commands. You have many, so you can also see the VLAN. Many things. Try by looking into fifth commands, by the way. So the next session, how to create a VLAN and what is the usage of VLAN, why do we need a VLAN, and what needs to consider when you design any VLAN structure. Then we do at 1 or 2 lab by connecting its devices, inshallah. So that would be a next chapter. Hope you understood the basic topic which we discussed about today. Go through it, go through that and come back to me if you have any concern. So once we started the practical session, I recommended you to do more practical or more practice to familiar with all the commands, which was more important. So this is all about how to create or to connect it to the switch, to see the basic commands like a show command, then enter into the global config ports, and at least to see about show VLAN. Inshallah, in upcoming session, we will talk more about how to create the VLAN, what is VLAN, and the recommended benefits or the recommended design criteria or the best practice solution to focus when we are going to design the VLAN, inshallah. So hope you enjoyed the session today. Thank you. Have a good time from CML InfoTech.